Good morning. Happy coffee time. Coming to you just as always, moments before prepared. Bringing you coffee and conversation and my own rock and roll fantasy. I wish so bad that I could have music on this thing without going through all the copyright bullshit. It would be so awesome because I'd be like, probably introduce it with "It's all part of my rock and roll fantasy," and probably have a meditation session around Pinball Wizard or Push It by Salt and Pepper. That's usually my get up and go. Anyway, I'm all like hyper today. I hope everybody's doing okay. Coffee's still very hot. I hope Liliana's doing good. She's my grandchild. Family's moving just a little far away, and then the ex and the son, they're trying to go some other farther away. So I'm becoming more and more isolated, and I can totally take a big old gamble and go back to a situation where I don't get to devote as much time to myself as I want, or my privacy, not myself so much, but my studies, and trade off living in the family, having all the things that make us always depressed again. And I kind of been through a really busy week, so I'm stressed out. I don't have my words yet, but that's simply because I'm not supposed to have my words yet. I'm not supposed to have words. I'm supposed to read a series of teachings and try to see if they help bring out, by way of story or example usage, what I mean. But I'm experiencing what I call a brain attack. Just a mild brain attack. It's where I cannot find words I'm looking for simply because I'm being bombarded by a lot of self-doubt and interjection thoughts telling me bad things, I'm not going to capture them, and I'm not going to tell you what they are because you don't need to know that shit. You just need to know that I'm fighting right now to find my place where I want to be. And the mind is a battlefield, it absolutely is. And that's what draws me to the Zen teachings, because they give me tools to familiarize oneself with their mental combat. Mental combat. Totally autistic. What I am is totally lonely. And you know what's interesting about being lonely? I think everybody else in the entire world is lonely too. I think that's the number one problem with humans. We're lonely. So let's talk about what that is. What is that? And we talk about we're social creatures, right? But what are we really looking for? Because we're not satisfied with anything we get either. And then this week, I saw two different kinds of people. If anything comes up that's pertinent, it'll come up when it needs to, I suppose. Doesn't really do much thought any good to try to grasp that thing and stick in there and you're like, ew, that's what it would say. You don't need to grab that. That's really just there to tease you. So I better do what I need to do and have this cigarette. My coffee was hot. That's the only reason why I turned the video on before I had the cigarette. So I'm not ready. So you can't blame me for not reading and still trying to talk. I wish I could help people with their depression. But you can't. And that's one of the teachings is about, and I learned this myself trying to do something. Trying to help somebody understand what's going on, you know? Like, your brain acts like that. My brain does that too. Here's how I help myself. But they don't. Not everybody can try to help themselves the way that you help yourself. You know, what works for you isn't going to come together for somebody else. I mean, that's why nobody has the answer. We all point to the road and we all point to this. The one thing we all point to is that it's a personal effort, it's a personal work to overcome our mental afflictions. And I used to think that everybody was capable of overcoming their afflictions. And I think the Buddhists teach that everybody's capable. But dagnabbit, can't you just meet a whole bunch of people out there that just seem incapable? And also this week, I became so concerned about losing touch with humanity. Like losing touch with the fact that they feel a lot. Everything is super tangible. Super important. But yet at the same time, I can't be like, nothing's important. You know, and I don't think I have a teaching coming up today about being a stone Buddha or a living Buddha. And, you know, being a stone Buddha would probably be somebody who's just like, well, of course it's not a complete state all the time. You know, like, you could be a stone Buddha because you can't feel some things. Like, if you have to bury the dead have to be buried and you can't be having all the emotions about it. You just have to stone Buddha your way through the burials, right? And then there's like stone Buddha as in never feels or relates to the life, emotion, the story, the detail of others. I'm sorry, I'm sure that was a noise. Did I hit the mic? My eyes are not, I'm looking at my bamboo outside. You know, and a living Buddha probably does all those same things. Now, the living Buddha isn't thinking about high or low, is or is not. Well, I'm not connected to the humans. I am connected. You know, hey, the living Buddha probably doesn't call them humans. You know, so those who can do, those who cannot, you know. So anyway, so my brain attack is simply due to the fact that I'm sitting here smoking and trying to postulate on Zen, drinking coffee, I'm swearing, I'm talking, and I have no structure, and I have no training, and I have no background, and I have no approval, and I have nothing. I have no education. You know, and so I kind of imagine some hoity-toity regular Zen person discovering my channel. I'd be like, total disgrace. So I kind of felt all this whoosh down on me, this imagination of negativity, this, oh my God, you don't know how cringe you are, man. And I'm like, okay, you know what's interesting? If I'm mentally ill, how would I know how cringe I am? It wouldn't even concern me. If I were a normal human, I would be concerned with what everybody else is going to say or do to me or put my life through or turn me into or cause me misery or ignore me or ostracize me or whatever they going to do to them for being themselves. This is why when some people who have a spiritual path or an idea of, humans are crazy, they go off and they learn and they discover and they grow and they powerify themselves until they realize the big secret. Well, then I guess all hell breaks loose because I try to come down the hill and go. You can't tell anybody the big secret. You know, they had to walk up the hill. That guy has to walk up the hill. And you don't want to lose touch with their reality, the struggle. It's your struggle too. It's all your struggles. I think maybe this week I'll try to focus more on that. On what I saw in the tube. Actually not the two, but the one. The one person that I met this week. He has a certain characteristic, and this characteristic was the very same behavior that I see in my schizophrenic friend. I'm not diagnosing this person at all, but it's just a noticeable behavior. Hey, I know I'm guilty too. I don't listen very well. I don't listen very long, and I need to practice listening. But what I do practice, and the ground upon which I'm standing here, is that I pay attention when others are speaking and listening. When it's my turn to talk in the conversation, his eyes didn't look anywhere. He didn't look anywhere. He wasn't listening at all. And when I tried to have some type of empathic statement or comment, intensely pretended interest, but the sarcasm and the anger and the resentment that anybody should have anything to say that would help him solve his problems, and it put me in the mind of, well, I suppose, because people like to dole out advice and they like to help. But also, I was actually just pointing out how desperately I wish I could speak in such a way that could help somebody's depression. I said, but I'm a Zen student, and that's all I can do. That's the only thing that has helped me with my depression. You know, is pretty much realizing don't believe in your own bullshit. But they, you know, and these two persons in my life are just not whatever, because I also got to see another layer too. There's that part of him that he presents, which are a bunch of shields and masks and faces, the one that hide who he is. And why? Well, for one, we live in a world where we're not allowed to be the actual children who need reassurance that we are, because we weren't given reassurance and teaching when we were kids. You know, there's this unending, it's a cycle, it's a terrible cycle. And all it takes is lots of people focusing back upon themselves and their actions and their thoughts, and knowing the goddamn truth, man. Goddamn truth. You are what you make yourself. You know? Yes, people do things to us because they are what they have made. And yeah, because only one person at a time, or two people in a group, or 5 people in a lifetime finally get it, they might, and I'm tormented with this thought constantly, how can I be talking about Buddha Dharma when there's probably somebody listening whose sufferings is greater than mine could ever be? Oh my God, I'm terrified. Why? Because I can do nothing to speak to the person who's doing the evil to the person who would be listening for entry to get into freedom. And I would think, if I could, but a lot of people, when they are in a traumatic situation, their minds do protect them. I also think that the teachings say even Buddha can't liberate himself, and even he suffered. There's no end to suffering itself. Ugh. Well, I went deep really fast. I wasn't even trying to go deep, man. I'm trying to do that Huang-Po thing. We're going to talk about Huang-Po, or as I call him, Huang-Po. We're going to have Huang-Po. He's going to go on and on and on. And let me warn you right now. This dude sounds zen. This dude sounds so zen, you're going to gag. But that's alright, because then we'll wash it down with some cheerleader friend of mine, Mr. Yuan Wu. He's my cheerleader. He makes me, let me put it this way, when I read this guy, it's like my habits just go numb. It's like my being on the internet habit goes numb. And all I want to do, he helps me generate the habit of, oh, I desire to learn more Zen teachings. Yeah. Let me see what we're doing here. We're doing, I don't think we were doing that one, are we? Yep. Oh, and this one. So we are doing 2 in this guy. And then we got Dahoy. And Dahoy is his student. He's a student, a teacher, and he's the student of the teacher, and they got together and they made Zen babies. Yes, they did. They not only made Zen babies, let me tell you about their Zen babies. Let me tell you about the bird, like the Yuan Wus and the Doys and the Never mind. Oh, wait. And the Dharma and the boy said, wait. And a thing called sin. Ah, fuck it. Okay, let me tell you about these guys. Let me tell you about these guys. Who did it first? He did it first. Alright. And I'm like, this guy, he like gathered up all the teachings of the Zen Buddhas and all the old stories, and he put them together in this book here called Blue Cliff Records. Hey. This has to be entertaining. There are children watching. Okay? So, I'm no scholar, but that's what happened here. And these are memory techniques. Now, let me tell you about the other guy. Oh, wait. I think he did another compilation. I think he put together Measuring Tap, which I don't have, and maybe Song of Serenity. I don't know, but I don't have those babies yet. They're not in my thing. Anyway, we're gonna lead up here. We're gonna end up on a real cool fact. That's gonna make me laugh, but I don't know what's gonna do for you. Anywho, his child, say this guy piled 2 big books, maybe 3 big books. This guy piled this many books, right? This guy, I don't know how many books he compiled, but he certainly compiled this book. And this book is full of all the teachings of all the guys. I don't know if they're the same teachings from all the guys, or just some of them are. You know why? Because I haven't read them all yet. I'm a slow reader. I'm a bad student. But what they do is they mostly quote these guys, right? They mostly quote these guys. We've got Mr. Lin Shi, who likes to yell at people, right? And I'm going to get you in later on when I start delving into some actual real words, because I'm comfortable talking, but I'm not yet, so I haven't gotten there. And I think he was a person who was totally not neurotypical. He's so not neurotypical that I claim this man is my total, he's my guru. Anywho, after him, or before him, whenever. They quote that guy, but they quote this guy the absolute most, Mr. Joshu. Mr. Joshu. He is a very funny guy. He's very cryptic, and he sounds so zen, and blah, I mean that with the utmost respect, honestly. And then you have Mr. Yuan Wu. I'm sorry, Yuan Wu. Whom we've already discussed a little bit. He's the best. And you know why he's the best? Because he's also quoted in all of these. Now, here comes another story. About my books. Isn't it great? One of the people I saw this last week asked me if I had any fun. Do I ever have fun? I'm so serious and I'm so deep all the time. And I'm so into psychology. I can't stop talking about it. I certainly can't stop talking about this shit when I'm on the phone with you. Well, you're a phone now, not a cam. You're a phone. And there's no opening for me to talk about this shit because all I'm doing right here is what's affectionately known as... well, never mind. It's more that negativity from the brain attack. You had to call these things out or they just get stronger. Stupid brain attack. So my son hurt his feelings. He did some things wrong and he screwed up. And every time he does that, he gets a really lot of brain attack. And so I'm like, okay, Screech, you gotta stop that. Let's focus on 1, 2, 3, problem assessment. you know, I forget the technical term for it, but when you're having a hard time organizing how to solve a situation, you have to figure out what you can do, what's easiest to do, what buys you time to do the next thing. So there's a way of figuring out how to solve certain situations when they're in demand at the same time. Well, this principle also can be very much applied to the mechanics of your mind during a brain attack. So I said to him, okay, that he had successfully solved the problem, and he was left with the emotion of self-attack. And I was like, well, now all there's to do is to start telling yourself how stupid and worthless you are, for the next 10 minutes. And he's like, my brain can't take the sarcasm. No, yes, your brain can take the sarcasm, because that's sarcasm that's beneficial. It calls you to draw attention to the fact that you are ruminating in useless activity. What is that doing for you but making you feel bad? Well, I can't help it. It's just happening. You know why? Because you've made a thief your king. We're not going to read that Bodhidharma, but if you went to my blog, you could go find it. It's under Praise, Blame, and Explain. But at any rate, not to get too rambly, and honestly, I'm not even concerned about the time today. I'm trying to have a regular day. I have a very successful save on my game. It's beautiful. "10 days alive, 4 revolvers. What I'm desperate for, and it's always got to be something. I killed a bear. I shot a bear. And I killed a wolf, and I shot a bear. Anyway, I did that. I shot a bear. But by the time I went my 3rd trip back up to harvest the meat, it was rancid. Because I didn't want to start a fire and quarter it. And lesson learned. But now I got to walk by that dead carcass again and again and again, so I can go up to the car crash. I killed a bear with a revolver. 2 shots, bitch. I just see him running out. I shoot, jump in the car. Let him run around. Get out, shoot him, jump back in the car. It was the most fun I ever had. Well, last time I tried to shoot a bear, I got mauled to death. The next time I shot a bear, I had downloaded a cheat so that I would be undetected and everything. And it was real easy. But this time I did it all by my lonesome. And all I gotta do now is kill another bear, and then I have a bearskin roll, and then I never have to go inside the house again. Or something. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But if I successfully learn how to manage, she might be the character that goes on and goes around to all the other providences. Next place she can go is Mystery Lake, where I'll finally get a magnifying lens. So far I only have... Oh, it doesn't matter, right? Y'all don't care. I need to be right on alert, right? Oh, that was the intermission. Okay. Punchline. Well, first I wanted to say about Joshu is I really felt a personal connection with this guy. Yeah, he sounds real zen, but I really feel a good personal connection with this guy. At the end, the monk who put the book together wrote, just by the end I was crying, super duper crying, because he's dead. He died. Like, isn't that obvious? He's going to die. Mr. Yuan Wu came in, and when he came in, I noticed that the spine of the books were different. I'm like, ooh, Yuan Wu, you're pretty thick, pretty thick guy. And he's the smart ass, he's the king of the hill. He's the king of them all. And he's the most quoted. So, like, how big, actually, is this guy's dick, Jesus. Did I get 2 more books coming that's going to have more of Yuan Wu's penis? What I'm most excited to find out is how many of these statements are in these books, or if it's all new statements. If it is all new statements, I wouldn't mind compiling a notebook and filling it with the extra ones. Like, for example, in Dahoy, he'd said, a teacher of old said, and he quoted a teaching, and I'm like, oh, that teaching was in Linshi. Linshi said that. And I can't wait to get to Linshi and find out whether or not Linshi was quoting somebody. And see, that's the nature of these particular guys. Why I believe that they're the same tradition. What I wish existed, that I can get my hands on, or that I could see, maybe the hoity-toity Zen teacher who's been watching me this whole time talking about how stupid I am might be able to find it for me. Would like to know if they're still quoting these guys, but are they quoting these guys, but are they also quoting the guys who said notable things along the way? I'd like to know where have all the real Zen masters gone, and I can't imagine that there's nobody who's reached this level as they, when their words are here for us. You know what I mean? The words that I have already spent 30 minutes not getting to. Aren't I sad? I don't have a voice presentation capable of entertaining you while you drive down the street, I suppose. And I'm still having my brain attack. Or maybe this is just a piss poor day. Piss poor. Piss poor, piss poor. And I'm also hormonal, so I'm in a really icky mood. So we're just going to go straight to teachings and shut the hell up. It's a no preaching coffee day. This is a Ozium is scattered and medic, no preaching day. Teachings. Mr. Huang-Po, I told you a story. Question. What is meant by relative truth? Oh, let me just check the timestamp. Okay. That way I'll be able to leave it in the description where the actual shit starts, and you can skip all that bullshit I just went through. Okay? Okay. What is meant by relative truth? Answer. What would you do with such a parasitical plant as that? Reality is perfect purity. Why base a discussion on false terms? To be absolutely without concepts is called the wisdom of dispassion. Every day, whether walking, standing, sitting, or laying down, in all your speech, remain detached from everything within the sphere of phenomenon. Whether you speak or merely blink an eye, let it be done with complete dispassion. Now we are getting toward the end of the third period of the 500 years since the time of Buddha, and most students of Zen cling to all sorts of sounds and forms. Why did they not copy me? By letting each thought go, as though it were nothing, or as though it were a piece of rotten wood, a stone, or cold ashes of dead fire. Or else, just by making whatever slight response is suited to the occasion. If you do not act thus, when will you reach the end of your days here? You will be tortured by Yama, or when you reach the end of your days here, you will be tortured by Yama, which is like their devil. You must get away from the doctrines of existence and non-existence, for mind is like the sun, forever in the void, shining spontaneously, shining without intending to shine. This is not something which you can accomplish without effort. But when you reach the point of clinging to nothing whatever, you will be acting as the Buddhas act. This will indeed be acting in accordance with the saying, develop a mind which rests on no thing whatever. For this is your pure Dharmakaya, which is called Supreme Perfect Enlightenment. If you cannot understand this, though you gain profound knowledge from your studies, though you make the most painful efforts and practice the most stringent austerities, you will still fail to know your own mind. All your effort will have been misdirected, and you will certainly join the family of Mara, which is evil, yucky stuff. What advantage can you gain from this sort of practice? As Chi Kung once said, the Buddha is really the creation of your mind. How then can he be sought through scriptures? Though you study how to attain the 3 grades of bodhisattvahood, the 4 grades of sainthood, and the 10 stages of a bodhisattva's progress to enlightenment, until your mind is full of them, you will merely be balancing yourself between ordinary and enlightened. Not to see that all methods of following the way are empirical is samsaric dharma. Not to see that all methods of following the way are empirical is samsaric dharma. Its strength once spent, the arrow falls to earth. You build up lives which don't fulfill your hope. Far below the transcendent gate, or how far below the transcendent gate, from which one will gain the Buddha's realm. This is supposed to be a verse, and I read it all. So, scratch that, edit it, because I'm like a cheater, and so I edit things. Click, click. You don't even see the jump. Its strength once spent, the arrow falls to earth. You build up lives which won't fulfill your hopes. How far below the transcendent gate, from which one leap will gain the Buddha realm? It is because you are not that sort of man that you insist on a thorough study of the methods established by people of old for gaining knowledge on the conceptual level. Chia Kung also said, if you do not meet a transcendental teacher, you will have swallowed the Mahayana medicine in vain. Littlest Mr. Huang-Po from The Transmission of Mind by John Bofield. He came about 3 generations after Bodhidharma. But the other guys don't have a book. Trust me, if they had a book, they would be in my collection. And if I had the money, I would have more people in my collection. And my collection is getting bigger. I keep coming across new names I gotta look up. I gotta have Wu-Man or Mooman. A lot of other people I gotta get in my life. Gotta get to the teachings. We gotta get them done so that you can get out of here. Don't you gotta get out of here? Maybe I picked too many teachings. You're last. Some of them are pretty darn diddly. Long, too. That's why I'm doing cigarettes. Mr. Yuan Wu. Selection today is called Self and Things. All the myriad things are neither opposed to nor contrary to your true self. Directly pass through to freedom, and they make one whole. It has been this way from time without beginning. The only problem is when people put themselves in opposition to it, and spurn it, and impose orientations of grasping or rejecting, creating a concern where there is none. This is precisely why they are not joyfully alive. If you can cut off outward clinging to objects and inwardly forget your false ideas of self, things themselves are the true self, and the true self is things. Things and true self are one suchness, opening through to infinity. Then at all times, whatever you may be doing, it stands like a mile-high wall. Where is all the trouble and disturbance? Time and again, I see long-time Zen students who have been freezing their spirits and letting their perceptions settle out and clarify for a long time. Though they have entered the way, they immediately accepted a single device or a single state, and now they rigidly hold to it and won't allow it to be stripped away. This is truly a serious disease. To succeed, it is necessary to melt and to let go and spontaneously attain a state of great rest. Joyously alive. This may be long. It is long. Enjoy it. Or you won't. Nobody watches me. Well, maybe it is too long. You're having another brain attack? Yes. Let's not do that. The essential requirement in studying Zen is concentrated focus. You don't engage in any forced actions. You just keep to the fundamental. Right where you stand, you must pass through to freedom. You must see the original face and walk through the scenery of the fundamental ground. You do not change your ordinary actions, yet outside and inside are one suchness. You act according to the natural flow and do not set up anything as particularly special. You are no different from an ordinary person. This is called being a wayfarer who is free and at peace beyond learning, free from contrived actions. Being in this stage, you do not reveal any traces of mind. There is no road for the gods to offer you flowers, and no way for demons and outsiders to spy on you. This at last is simple, unadorned reality. Keep on nurturing this for a long time, and worldly phenomenon and the Bodhidharma fuse into one whole, merging without boundaries. Power functions ready-made, so that it is also difficult. So, what is so difficult about penetrating through birth and death to freedom? Alright, we're not going to do this. We're going to skip this other one. Or should we? Oh, I'm having another brain attack. What is this? Self-doubt? Yes. What's bothering you? I'm feeling agitated because I'm worried about the time. Well, obviously we can't do our study by reading any longer. Okie dokie. I was just about to read the little bit where he talks about stepping back. And obviously, I was stepping back. You see? But the last one I wanted to quote, and it's not long, but it alludes to what I said at the beginning here of the entire tape about I can't learn somebody else's lesson for them, because how I would solve my karma works for me, it would not work for them. It says, do not grasp another's bow, and do not ride another's horse. Do not meddle in another's affairs. Though this is a commonplace saying, it can also be sustenance for entering the path. Just examine yourself constantly from morning to night. What do you do to help others and help yourself? If you noticed even the slightest partiality or insensitivity, you must admonish yourself. Don't be careless about this. And this is one of my lessons this week, is to notice my insensitivity. So there. Alright, thank you for your time. I should probably take it up for the whole damn minute. Okay, bye.